I'm so excited because this is my favorite story, Beauty and the Beast by Madame Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve. And it's retold by Kate Bernard and it's illustrated by Cale Atkinson. Now, before we get started, we know in the story there's going to be a beauty and there's going to be a beast. But what does it mean by beast? Now, the term beast is often used to talk about a kind of an animal, and it usually means an animal that's wild or dangerous, one that you'd want to stay away from. So there's going to be some sort of a beast that's wild or dangerous in our story. I should also mention that this is from the genre or fairy tales. And remember, a fairy tale has a beginning phrase like once upon a time or once there was, and that indicates a distant past in a faraway place. It also has imaginary characters like dragons, fairies, witches, giants, elves, and maybe even a beast, right? Sometimes it has royal characters like kings, queens, prince, and princesses. And a fairy tale has a happy ending where good wins over evil. And sometimes it even ends with the phrase, and they all lived happily ever after. We are going to be using the comprehension strategy of predicting and confirming predictions. Now, predicting what will happen in the story allows the reader to summarize what's already been read so far. They look for clues and events in the story, and they use their prior knowledge, their own personal experiences, to make predictions about what might happen next. So let's get started reading Beauty and the Beast. Once upon a time, there lived a poor merchant with 3 lovely daughters. The youngest was so lovely, she was called Beauty. The poor family had once been rich. However, now all they had was a small farm in the country. One day, the merchant's ship sailed into port filled with riches. As the merchant left to meet his ship, his oldest daughters asked for him to bring back jewels. Beauty asked only for a rose. I wonder if the merchant will bring back jewels and a rose for his daughter. This is a good place to make a prediction. Now, the story says the merchant is poor, but he was rich at one time. I predict the merchant will bring back a rose, but not the jewels, because a rose is much less expensive, and I know that he doesn't have much money. After paying his debts, though, the merchant was poor again. He started home sadly. As night fell, he lost his way in the forest. After a while, he saw lights shining through the trees. The merchant hurried closer, hoping to find help. He saw a magnificent castle surrounded by a beautiful garden. As he approached the castle, no one greeted him. When he entered the castle, he saw no one and heard not a sound. The merchant sat down in front of an inviting fire where a delicious dinner had been prepared. He hoped that he could soon thank his kind host, but nobody appeared. He neither saw nor heard any sign of life in the entire castle. Finally, he wandered through the castle and into a lovely garden. He remembered Beauty's request and picked a rose to take home to her. Okay, so I can confirm my prediction now. The merchant was too poor to buy jewels, but he found a rose for Beauty. My prediction was confirmed. Just then, he heard a terrible roar. A frightful beast rushed toward him. The beast was furious. The terrified merchant threw himself on his knees. He begged for mercy. Well, after I read about the beast and the merchant, I wonder what will happen next. Will the beast let the merchant go? Will he show him mercy? And if so, how? I'm going to make a prediction. I predict that the beast does not show mercy. The story says that he was furious, and that means he was extremely angry, and he really scared the merchant. I think the merchant believes the beast is going to hurt him. I meant no harm. I took the rose for one of my daughters. Please forgive me, he cried. You must pay for stealing my rose. After I paid you such kindness, roared the beast. Go home and bring me one of your daughters as payment for the rose. If they refuse, then you must return and be my prisoner. Okay, so after I read this part, I think I know what's going to happen. The title of the story is Beauty and the Beast. So I'm going to predict that the merchant's youngest daughter, Beauty, is going to go stay with the beast. The pale and shaking merchant returned home and told his frightful tale. The oldest daughter said he should not return. Beauty responded sadly, "The beast deserves payment. You pick the rose for me, father. I will go." Her father protested, but Beauty insisted. Okay, so I've made two predictions that I can confirm now. Beast did have mercy on the merchant in a way. My prediction was not confirmed, so by that he didn't hurt the merchant, but I did predict that Beauty would return to the castle, and that prediction is going to be confirmed because she insisted that she should go. Beauty said goodbye to her sisters. Then she and her father bravely mounted their horses. Soon they reached the castle. Beast greeted them with a loud roar. Beauty felt certain that he would harm her. She tried to hide her fear and greeted him politely. "Did you come willingly?" asked the beast in his terrible voice. "Yes," answered Beauty. "You are very kind and brave," said the beast. "Your father must leave and never come back." Beauty wept as her father left that night. Bravely, she tried not to worry. "I'll explore the castle," she thought. Beauty found each room more brilliant than the last, until finally she came to a large door. She opened the door timidly. Inside, she saw shelves of books, a piano, music, and everything else she could wish for. That night at supper, Beast explained gruffly, "Everything in the castle is yours. I hope you will be happy here. I am only a lonely, miserable beast." Months passed, and Beauty had everything she needed. Beast turned out to be very kind. Beauty became used to his ugliness and began to like him. "Beauty," said Beast one evening, "I could not bear it if you ever left me. Please promise never to leave." However, Beauty was homesick. She longed to see her father again. Now, Beauty is finding that the Beast is kind and they are getting along. And the Beast asked Beauty to promise to never leave him. But she missed her father. I predict she'll stay with the Beast, even though she's missing her family, because she doesn't want Beast to be unhappy. "Please let me return home for 1 week," responded Beauty. "We are good friends now, Beast. I promise to return." She begged. "I cannot let you suffer," sighed Beast. "Please return, as you promised. Take this ring. When you are ready to return, you need only turn it on your finger." Beast sighed deeply. The next morning, Beauty awoke in her father's house. How happy the merchant was to see his daughter. He hugged and kissed her as he laughed and cried for joy. Ah, my prediction was not confirmed. Here is Beauty back home with her father. She did promise to go back to the Beast, so she does care about him. That part of my prediction was correct. She doesn't want him to be unhappy. Beauty's jealous sisters were not at all happy to see her. They plotted to steal her ring so that Beauty could not return to her friend the Beast. Perhaps if she does not return, the Beast will be angry with her, they thought. Now, Beauty's sisters are not kind. They steal Beauty's ring so she can't return to the Beast. They hope that he becomes angry with her. This is a fairy tale, though, and good usually wins over evil. So I'm going to predict that their plan will not work. Their plan worked. Ugh, I was wrong. Beauty stayed longer than a week and broke her promise to Beast. On the 10th night, Beauty dreamed of Beast. He lay in his garden full of despair. "Oh, my poor Beast," she cried. "He has a good and kind heart. I cannot leave him there, lonely and sad." So my prediction wasn't right. Their plan did work. Will she get back to the beast? That night, Beauty retrieved the ring her sisters had stolen from her. She turned it on her finger and was transported back to the castle. Beauty ran to the garden. There lay Beast, quite still. Beauty had forgotten his ugliness and bent over him. Beast, do not be upset, cried Beauty. I never knew how much I loved you until now. I cannot live without you, dear Beast. Okay, so I've insisted that this story will end happily. So I predict Beauty will do something that saves the Beast, such as maybe give him a kiss, because I've read that in a few other fairy tales like Sleeping Beauty, where a kiss can bring somebody back to health when they look like they're about to die. As Beauty spoke these words, a blaze of light sprang up, illuminating the whole castle. The Beast disappeared. A handsome prince stood in his place. Where is my Beast? Gasped Beauty. I am he, answered the prince. I was changed into a beast. Only someone who could love me back for my kindness could change me back. Please, Beauty, be my wife. Beauty and the prince were married, and they lived happily ever after. Okay, so I'm looking for details that shows that this story ended happily like all fairy tales. Beast turns into a prince, and he did so because Beauty loved him so much. They got married and they lived happily ever after. So my prediction was confirmed. The good characters, Beauty and Beast, win over the unkind characters, the bad characters, the jealous sisters. All right, great job today looking for clues that this was a fairy tale and how it would end. I want to take a look back at a few of the vocabulary words before I let you go. I think this was a long story, wasn't it? The first one is magnificent. He saw a magnificent castle surrounded by a beautiful garden. Now, magnificent means very beautiful and grand. So that's what he's talking about here at this castle. It's so beautiful and it's a grand castle. All right. The next word that I'm looking for is refuse. Refuse. It says, if they refuse, then you must return and be my prisoner. Now, refuse means that you say no to something. So he's saying, if they say no, then you must return and be my prisoner. Very good. All right. Let's take a look at a couple things here about the genre fairy tale. Of course, our fairy tale did start with, let me see. This is such a long fairy tale. It's hard to flip back through the pages. Once upon a time, and it did end with happily ever after. So it did show two elements of a fairy tale there. Did it have an imaginary character? It says so right in the title. It had a beast. Did it have a royal character? Turns out that the beast was the royal character, right? He was a prince too. So our story, Beauty and the Beast, did have all of the elements that it takes to be a fairy tale.